Hello and welcome to IBTimes TV. I'm Lianna Brinded, Deputy Business Editor for the International Business Times. Joining me now is Gustav Mellentin, and he's the CEO of Adform. So hi Gustav.
Hi there.
Hi,
nice
well,
to be here.
Yeah, great. Thanks for joining us in Canary Wharf. So, I mean, you're in a very exciting industry, obviously, digital and advertising. And naturally, the industry has evolved over the last decade. Maybe you can tell me about some of the key partners that you've worked with or major campaigns that really show this evolving trend.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the industry landscape has transformed dramatically from being a landscape with buyers and sellers and networks in between. Now we're talking about these networks being replaced in many ways by lots of different technologies, out of which we are one of the technologies, and so lots of our partners are other technologies. So we've got demand side platforms, supply side platforms, and lots of different technologies that are suddenly now connecting the buyers and the sellers in new and exciting ways. And I think that's very much what we're all about, is about allowing the advertisers to reach the right audience at the right time, in the right place and at the right price. Definitely, I mean, being a platform technology, we work together with lots of different companies in the industries that are typically point solutions around user identification, like AdTruth, for example, that we have integrated with recently, but also a number of other partners.
Great. But, I mean, with all the greatness that comes with globalization and obviously tying businesses together, surely regional issues may crop up?
Yeah, I think Europe is definitely Europe is definitely our core market, and I think we are now in 12 different countries, so we kind of have a very strong presence across all of Europe, and I think we're definitely seeing different market dynamics in each market. I think recently the whole cookie policy is an interesting thing that hasn't 100% kicked off yet, but we are seeing different countries adopting these the European cookie law in different ways, and in many ways, as a technology company, it's important to be able to span all the different ways of implementing the legislation, and I think that's one of the challenges we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and specifically on the cookie law, you have to obviously, I suppose, as a company, be prepared for all the possibilities, like you said. What do you work on in that meantime then when, like you're saying, each country is adopting it in a different way? What do you do to prepare yourself and clients that you work with on that?
Yeah, so I think in many ways we are the technology, so we're kind of following the needs. I think the biggest issues are probably facing the publishers these days. I mean, the publishers are ultimately the ones that need to monetize their content. And I think in many ways the big challenge is with the publishers to make sure that they are still able to monetize the content in an efficient way. And I think one of the things around monetizing content is about understanding a user and being able to track them and target the users in efficient ways. So I think the whole landscape, the way it's evolving, it's important that the publishers get a way of handling these issues without kind of giving away the content at too cheap a price, just because they don't get the act together around forcing some kind of identification of the user that can be used for targeting.
Sure. And are there any other, I suppose, evolving laws or points in the market that naturally companies like yourself have to be ahead of the curve of and think of other possibilities? Are there any other issues that you see presenting, maybe a blip for clients that you may need to overcome?
I don't think I can think of any legislation as such.
But any maybe other industry trends that are going to propose, I suppose either challenges or opportunities?
Yeah, I think there are lots of industry trends. I think one of the most important industry trends is around the convergence in media and the proliferation in devices. So I think the ability to actually be able to advertise across all these devices seamlessly, the ability to track users across devices, the ability to target users across devices. I think these are huge challenges to the industry going forward. But I think also in many ways, I mean, in Adform we have a motto saying we want to make advertising simple, relevant and rewarding. I think that in many ways summarizes some of the big challenges for the industry going forward, making it simple for the industry and this whole ecosystem of tech players coming up, making sure that you can integrate that into a platform and make it manageable for the players in the industry, making it relevant for the user. I think we all as users, you know, if we could choose not to have advertising, we would probably all choose not to have it. But I think it's one of these things we need to accept in order to get great content. But at least if it's relevant, I think it's much more acceptable to have advertising. Personally, I don't mind advertising very much if it's something that I really think is interesting to read about. And then making it rewarding. I think for the advertiser, making sure that the advertiser actually get the effect out of digital advertising that they're used to getting from TV and still a little bit skeptical about maybe. And the publishers not having a race to the bottom in terms of prices, just putting inventory into programmatic channels and seeing prices eroding, but actually making sure that they can monetize the premium formats as well going forward.
Sure. With the advertising, I mean, like I've seen some companies that have become a lot more, I suppose, very savvy in terms of how they've moved from traditional advertising to not just digital, but in more, I suppose, viral ways. And how have you seen that change in terms of the technology needed to promote that, whether that's through games or apps or even, sometimes some kind of mini movies online? How have you seen that kind of need change?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different trends out there, a lot of different technologies and ways of advertising that are evolving. Games in permissive advertising, making sure that you're in an environment where advertising is more permissive, building advertising into content in a way that makes it more native in the content. I think even in tablets, like you're seeing in some of the print going into tablets, that building content into the content, or building advertising into the content that's more native, I think is important trends that we're seeing that are showing the way forward.
Cool. And as you said, you guys obviously have a big presence in the European markets. Have you guys got any plans to maybe expand or try and tackle some of the more emerging markets, maybe even Asia?
Yeah, I think being in digital advertising, I think there's no doubt that it's a global industry, right? And I think over time you need to be global as well in order to tackle the global issues. So definitely going forward, I think right now it's about building more depth for us in Europe, but also kind of getting into the US and Asia.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks. And that was Gustav Mellentin, CEO of Adform.